PTF back with you for a look at one of our favorite bets, the $2 pick six at Santa Anita. Terrific stakes-laden card on this Saturday, and I'm here to go through it with you, along with my usual partner on these type of shows. He is Jonathan Kitchen. JK, what's up, my friend?
PTF, yeah, someone said, hey, man, we're going to Santa Anita this weekend. You should come. I was like, good
There was a
days.
time where you would have said yes to that.
Oh, there's a time I'd have been I'm already on my way. I miss it. I thought about it the other day. I've been there one time, and that was for Breeders' Cup since COVID.
Wow, are you serious? A place that you used to be every weekend, even though you lived in Texas at the time.
Yeah, people used to think I lived in California. There's a world in which I think I was probably at Santa Anita. I would say there's a better chance I was there 4 times in 1 week than 1 time in 4 years.
Well, the racing's been good. The bets are terrific. The adding the late double, the $5 late double with the 15% takeout, the late pick $3 minimum with the takeout, the turf pick 3, and this pick 6. I mean, that's mainly where my focus has been. On this show, we're going to look at I say late pick 6. There's only one pick 6. We will look at the pick 6. There's some terrific stakes racing in here, including key Kentucky Derby prep race action. So stay tuned for that. Forgot to say this in the Gulfstream piece of the show, but we also want to hear what people think. And the place we're having the conversation is in the comments on YouTube. And I've been trying hard to respond to everyone. Let us know what you think in these races, especially the San Felipe. We'll get to that in a minute, though. We're going to dive in here with race number 6 furlongs on the dirt, salty allowance race with 11 runners scheduled to go to post. What numbers will be on your tickets?
Yeah, there's only 2 I need here. We'll start with the 7 Ball Don't Lie. This horse is blazing fast. That debut race, the early pace figures were sensational. Came back, ran fast again. Both of those races were with Lasix. The race that kind of really dropped off, when the horse was odds on last time in the last Barrera, didn't have Lasix. Gets the Lasix back and gets in light too with the Apprentice at 117 pounds. So that'll be the top choice in here. But I can't ignore the 11 Momad to the outside. John Sheriff's in the last 5 years is 4%, 2 for 45. First time starter sprinting on the dirt. Okay, 2 for 45. One of them is this horse. The other one is Justique, which is another stakes type horse that he had. If they win first out sprinting on the dirt for John Sheriff, they are pretty damn good. They've got some talent. Obviously, last time didn't work out. Gets a little bit of time off, shows back up in here, drawn outside. I think this horse obviously has some talent. It obviously has some issues, right? 5-year-old gelding, but you can't argue with taking that stat and shoving it in the locker.
Yeah, 5-year-old gelding who's making the 3rd start, I think was your point about that.
Right.
That shows that there's been physical issues. Sheriff's always takes his time, always. And then in this instance, does have one that has some talent there, as you point out. And I will be working onto my tickets as a B on your say-so with you on the top pick. Ball Don't Lie. I mean, I don't have a lot to add other than pointing out how flamingly hot the Glatt barn is and how well he does off layoffs. Big races, good trip. I mean, lots of weight break, all the boxes getting checked. I will throw in one other. Tessuto, the 6 runner, I thought was a logical alternative to come from a little bit farther back off the pace. Last race was good, I thought, attacking the pace from close on a day when the course was tilted to closers, according to Timeform US. Going to be coming from farther back in this pace scenario, just looking at the pace map with some of those other speeds. I think it could work out for Tessuto as well. 7-6 for me with a little 11 on the backup line, and JK going 7 and 11 to kick us off as we move to another allowance race. This one on the turf for fillies and mares, going 6 furlongs. Once again, a field of 11. I thought that Wordplay would get a great setup for her closing kick in this spot and should be suited to the slight turn back in distance. The 7, Miss Mandalay, another one I wanted, should be up near the vanguard, but crucially also has shown the ability to pass horses could come into play here. I just thought that Miss Mandalay might trip out and has done some really nice work turf sprinting. One other I'll mention, I'm going to mention 2 more. I'm going to be stubborn. Anganash is one I want. Knapp does very well first off the claim with turf sprinters. And this is just another candidate to be the best closer. I think will be a price. And then this one I wanted to ask you about. I am going to leave among my picks, but I'm not sure I'm going to end up there. The 3 Thermal seems to have a chance to be the best speed. Has been off forever, but you look at these 2-year-old figs, and this horse, maybe can improve and get the job done. But then on the other hand, doesn't she have to need the race? What do you make of Thermal and all the rest in the 7th race at Santa Anita on Saturday?
Yeah, I had 2, 3, 8 as A horses. I'll use the 2 wordplay. Like you had mentioned, a horse that I thought ran well enough, going a little bit longer, also at 6.5. So the 6 shouldn't be a problem. The 3 Thermal, yeah, I mean, obviously the layoff is a concern, but this horse ran pretty well first time out. Ton of early speed, and it didn't work out, but does have some back numbers, like you mentioned, as a 2-year-old that put this one right in the mix. The 8, I'm guessing this is Nini Diamond. I don't love the fact that they're just assuming that this horse is going to run much better getting back to the grass, especially off of that last race. But I do love the fact that this horse looks kind of loose. And I thought that was at least something you wanted to consider. Turf sprinting, you talk about it all the time, Pete, and I'm grateful for you always saying that I've helped you with your turf sprinting, handicapping. Speed, it's because of speed. That's the lesson that we learned is it doesn't matter how much pace there looks like there's in the race. Being on the front end in a turf sprint is a huge edge, and it feels like Nini Diamond's going to be on the front end. So I'll use those 3 as A's, 2, 3, 8. I'll use the 1, 7. The 7 you already mentioned, and the 1 down on the inside, I'll use that horse as a B.
Let's get to race number 8. This is one of the features of the day, the Grade 2 San Felipe. We've got the return to the races of the current number 1 on the In the Money Media top 10 list, Barnes, making the return here. Journalism, a horse also high up on that top 10. If you haven't checked out that video on YouTube, please go there and do it. Drop us a comment. Let us know what you think about the Derby top 10. Did we get it right? Did we get it wrong? But we don't need to worry about the Derby specifically in this race. We just need to worry about who's going to win the San Felipe. What is your idea of the winner?
Yeah, so I'm going to use a 2 and the 3. And I'm going to talk about the 3 longer than I'm going to talk about the 2. The 2 is just obvious. Horse is improving for a trainer that I think is outstanding, and Michael McCarthy, and he could definitely take a step forward. This is how I look at the 3. They are going to continue to bet this horse like he's the greatest thing that's ever happened to the thoroughbred breed as a whole. Right? He's expensive. He was named Barnes after Bob's, super trainer, assistant trainer that couldn't have done it without him type of deal. It's emotional. It's all these things. He just went $3.5 million, 3.7, 3.3, whatever it was. If after you get over 3 million, does it really matter? He has not
change, but yes,
he has not run that triple digit number that I want him to run in order for me to treat him the way that he's going to be bet. Now he's getting his first chance going 2 turns. So maybe this is when it happens. Maybe this is when that 3 point and change comes into play and he turns into that. But here's the thing. I'm not going to get rewarded by making that declaration now when he's going to be 4 to 5 or 3 to 5. I'm not going to be rewarded here. If he is that horse and he does run that triple digit number, then I will flip the switch and I will get rewarded on the first Saturday in May when he's 5 to 2, because everyone is going to bet other horses in the Derby. You can actually get a good number on him. I just don't find the need to do that today. I'll use him in multi-race wagers, but there's no value on him now. I'm just using him as a means to hit other horses, and I wouldn't talk anyone off of it. But if he turns that corner, and when he turns that corner, then I will get a shirt with his name printed on it. I will put on the silver wig. I will tell everyone leading up to the Kentucky Derby the whole week that Barnes can't lose, just like I did with Fierceness, just like I did with American Pharaoh, and just like I did with Justify. And I've got a pretty good record with the can't lose in the Derby thing. He's just not there yet, and so I'll just wait until he is.
What's the opposite of a humble brag? Because that's what that was, pointing out your 2 out of 3 batting average, which does get you into the Hall of Fame, while not really acknowledging the fact that people still are giving you a hard time about Fierceness.
Yeah, well, 2 out of 3 for can't lose the Derby.
It's pretty good. Now, objectively, it is pretty good. I'm not fighting with your
but here's the humility you're looking for. I've been wrong a lot about the Derby since I started actually thinking I knew what I was doing. I mean, I loved Sydney's Candy still running. I loved Sold That still running. I loved Verrazano still running, and the funny story having to watch Angel Cordero, whose mount Johnny Velasquez was on Verrazano, bet $500 on Orb in line in front of me, and I had to swallow that pill for the next all the way through my old Kentucky home. I mean, I've been wrong a lot. I mean, I caught Animal Kingdom in a spread. I was wrong about Bodemeister, and then I was wrong about Bodemeister after that in the Preakness.
Bodemeister, I mean, he ran well. I mean, he you know, that was a tough one. That was a tough beat. All right, let's get back to this race. I just think it's going to set up so beautifully for Barnes. I like Journalism better as a horse. I like Journalism better for the Derby. I'm going to go so far as to say, JK, if Journalism can win this, running down a loose Barnes in a short field, Journalism's going to win the Kentucky Derby. I think it's just such a huge ask. I love him so much, he's going to be on my tickets, but I'm going to put Barnes on top because I think, you know, there's always this question of with Baffert team tactics, who's going to be the beneficiary. I think it's got to be Barnes in here because he has not a single Derby point, yet we know how special he is to the operation, right? The name, as you pointed out, indicates a special horse. The assignment of going under the Twin Spires and being Baffert's first winner after the Michigas with Churchill suggests he's a special horse. And he showed some real style last time as well. I just think it's going to be a kind of thing. If we thought Rodriguez was if Rodriguez was trained by somebody who didn't have the warmest relationship with Bob Baffert, I think I'd like Journalism in here. But I think we know the rider's going to drop his hands and Barnes is going to go out there and waltz. And I think it's going to be tough for any of them to peg him back. Do you give anybody else any count in here? I guess Rodriguez would be the main one that a lot of people might be putting forward. I can't see it just because I don't think it's going to set up for him due to the team tactics. But what do you think?
I won't be betting Rodriguez until Rudy Rodriguez trains him. No, that wasn't even that funny. No, I don't. I just don't think he's that good, Rodriguez. I actually like Mellencamp probably a little bit more down on the inside to like take a step forward. Like I kind of know who Rodriguez is. I think when he won a couple races back, that probably looks a little bit better than it actually was. I didn't think he had too much of an excuse. And if I'm not warm and fuzzy about Citizen Bull yet, even though he's done nothing wrong, you can't get too fired up about Rodriguez.
I just think if I thought he was going to be the horse who was advantaged, I think I would like him. But I just don't think there's any way that's going to happen. I think it'll be a replay of what we saw last time, where he's not asked to use that speed aggressively early, and the other horse just has too much of an edge. I mean, there's a world in which those two run 1-2, but yeah, I think we're going to play it pretty much exactly the same. Just
I will say this for a penny. I will have Berlin Wall.
Tell me the story on this horse.
No, it's just a horse that's like just been sprinting. He's had adversity in both starts. You could tell he's probably got a little bit of talent. He's going to be completely ignored on the board with all these other horses taking money. And and like you said, the four inside horses, 1, 2, 3, and 4, they're all going to be trying to win the race. And sometimes when you're trying to win the race, you end up hurting yourself more and setting it up for someone who takes back, makes one run. And he looks like take back, make one run type.
I could see him running second. And it's funny, there actually is a decent scenario where he could run second to either Journalism or I'd kind of want to play it like him and Journalism in an exacta. And then I wouldn't hate having one based on your say so there, 1, 3, 2, 6. And just to finish where I was going with that, we're going to be using the same horses. I think just betting different amounts on them in the San Felipe. Anyway, I think we had a lively discussion about that for a 6-horse race. Let's go to race 9, grade 1 action. One of the other key ones on this day, the Frank Kilroe Mile. First question for you, 2-horse race, right?
Well, where's Johannes, Chad Brown, or Godolphin when you need them? I guess mi hermano Ramon and El Potente are the ones that you want. But I don't hate Formidable Man. I mean, this Michael McCarthy won, I think, 2 grade 1s with this horse, if I'm not mistaken, right? The Hollywood Derby and the Del Mar Derby.
Yeah, it's a grade 2 Del Mar Derby, but yes.
Okay, it used to be a grade 1 in the good old days. So he's got Formidable Man, especially his style. He can go a little bit longer. He's got a bit more grit to him. He ran horrible the other day, but the fact that he's back here, takes the blinkers off, I trust Michael McCarthy. And then Neat. I can't forget about Neat. He had a run last year, right, where he won impressively if I'm not mistaken, 4 graded stakes at different racetracks. He won at Houston on yielding ground. He won at Keeneland on good ground, at Belmont on firm ground, and Saratoga on firm ground. Like, to be able to do all of those things, and for Rob Atras to put him on a plane to come all the way out here for a grade 1, I think says a lot. And I there's no way I'm going to let this horse beat me. And if you believe in the JK+1 anti-curse, Jose Ortiz, JK+1 is coming out in about 20 minutes. So he's riding the horse.
Interesting. All right. So grade those out for me, the 1, 3, 4, and 5 in here.
Oh, definitely 3-1.
Okay.
And then I'd use the 4-5 equally. You know, home game for Formidable Man, neat. There'll be similar prices, I would think.
A's and B's, though? I mean, are we talking about you're not going to play?
Well, it's going to be an all A thing for me. And maybe I'd come back and like press the 1-3 again. But the problem is that the value of the sequence for me is the 4 and the 5 in here. If I can beat the 1 and the 3. So I hate more than anything when your value leg is like this, and you use the 4 and the 5 as B's because you feel like you need to have the 1 and the 3 more. Then you hit the 4 and the 5, and then now you're hoping that another B doesn't win because you've only, so I think it's one of those deals where it's fair enough to use them.
Yeah, you can always just vary the amounts. Just press the 3 and the 1 for an extra time or whatever, just so you don't lose equity if they win. But then you're not also meaning you lose horses in other legs with the value runners. I get it. You know, it's not something you're going to want to do that often, play 4 A's in an 8-horse race. But I hear you. I was much less creative than you. I thought El Patente would get the jump on mi hermano Ramon, but I thought that Ramon was strong enough that I didn't want him off tickets. So I'm just going to play this 3-1 and see how it all works out on Saturday as we move to the other grade 1 of the day. This is the race that gives the day its name, really. Big cap, Santa Anita handicap, field of 9 going postward in this one. I just think it sets up so nicely for locked here. I thought the horse ran pretty darn well, all things considered, in the Pegasus. Didn't break well, just ran into one that day as well. If he did break well, I don't think he was going to catch White Albario there, but I think he would have narrowed the margin a bit. Comes out here, there's pace in front of him. It's all about lock for me. I'm super uncreative. I'm going to single and move on. Am I right or wrong to do that with locked?
Yeah, single A locked, and then I'm going to single B hit show. Hit show and Brad Cox. These horses for like Todd and Brad who are, and Bob, who are like, they work on the dirt. You know what I mean? They're in there with good horses. They push it. They run fast in the mornings. I think those horses handle little distance questions as much easier than others. So I'll use hit show as a B. As far as locked is concerned, I actually asked Jose when I did JK+1, which is a question I love asking riders because I feel like they know more than anyone, is like, tell me what you think is more taxing, a mile, a flat mile, an honestly run flat mile, 1-turn mile, or a 2-turn mile, an 1/8 mile and a quarter. And Jose basically said like the same thing that I've heard from Richie and I even heard from Gary Stevens. Is like, I mean, you got to run early in these 1-turn miles. You got to get position. There's usually a 6 or 7 furlong horse stretching out that's going to be problematic, that keeps it honestly run. You got to get your position. I think Locke's Cigar Mile is why I trust that he's going to run this 1 1/4 mile race with no issue.
Yeah.
And the fact that Todd's putting blinkers on a horse that's going longer, you're clearly not worried about setting him off. Todd's a Hall of Famer. He's not going to in a big cap set this horse off so that he runs off. He just wants to see him finish his race. I think Locked is going to be extremely tough to beat. I'm singling Locked there and I'll use hit show as a little saver.
We're in lockstep through much of this sequence. Let's see how it ends. Race number 11, an allowance race going 1 1/8 miles. Had a couple of runners that stood out to me, but we'll throw it to you first to get your idea of how we're going to get paid in all these late picks.
Yeah, I'm going to go 2, 11, 1 as A horses. Coalinga Road, I just felt like was the best one. Kind of had that best like turn of foot look, that quicken look. Had run well going the 9 furlongs. There's a couple of these that have been running a little bit shorter. So you want to be careful not to get too in love with a mile performance when you're dealing with 1 1/8 miles against these horses. So I thought Coalinga Road, I wanted to have the 11 towards the outside British Isles. I almost made this one A, but I didn't love the post. for a horse. It's, got some tactical speed. I feel like could get hooked a little bit wide. That was a little bit of a concern for me. And then I ended up on the 1 as well, Invigorated, for Michael McCarthy. Once Upon a Time had some tactical speed. Didn't show much last time, but did have some pace figures that suggest that Umberto Rispoli should be able to work out a nice little trip. You know how I feel about tactical horses inside on the grass, because you have to be able to save the ground, but you also, when you're saving ground, you typically are going to need a little bit of turn of foot to be able to get out of that position and to kind of get your position moving forward rather than having to slam on the brakes and circle horses. That's what made me feel good about Invigorated. And then I'll use the 5 and the 6 as B horses. No particular reason outside of the fact that they just kind of fit from a number standpoint. I got enough singles and skinny races throughout that I could throw these guys in just for savers. I'm not going to let Flavian Pratt beat me on a Michael McCarthy horse is basically what I'm trying to tell you, in a spot where the numbers fit and I've made some strong stances elsewhere.
I hear you. And I think those are horses I might use should I be alive in this in some sort of more defensive way. We've got the same horse on top, Coalinga Road, the old fastest horse in the race angle. I don't have anything clever to say. I really like your case for Invigorated. I'm going to work in on tickets based on the case that you made. Thought that race 2 back was pretty strong for Invigorated, and going as a first-time gelding today as well. A lot of positives there. The pace angle for me might be the 9 Takes 3. This is a horse that I think should be able to see out the 1 1/8, dropping out of that stake that had a very, very fast pace that he was a part of. Obviously, he wasn't in your numbers, and you went a little deep here, so you don't care for the horse. Just curious to see if you think I'm out to lunch on Takes 3, or if you can see it if you squint.
It's usually with these situations, that's the funny thing. If you've been in this game long enough, like we've been in it long enough, I think we've looked at enough races. There's not too many horses that I can't see if I squint.
Right.
I've been beat by everything. We've all been beat by things that, like, whatever. I mean, I actually had his last race highlighted. The biggest issue I have is that he made the lead in a race that wasn't very fast, going 9 furlongs. So
Time for him had it coded red throughout.
Really?
Yeah.
Other pace figures had it slow.
No, that's interesting.
So it's what trip does he work out from here? That would be the biggest issue. No, I don't have a problem. I mean, if and he gets back on Lasix too, maybe it was the Lasix is why he stopped so badly.
Right. Lots of interesting back and forth on that one. Takes 3, another contender in an open-looking nightcap at Santa Anita. Great stuff from you, JK. We will be looking for you in some other YouTube videos. I guess we're going to do another top 10 next week. We're going to have a shakeup, you would think, after everything that goes on. And we'll check out that JK +1 as well. You can get that on YouTube. Did you do video with it, or is audio? It'll be the audio posted on YouTube. You can also just listen to the audio in the Money Players podcast, wherever you get your pods. We encourage people to subscribe to that as well. Give us a review on iTunes. Helps other people find the content. JK, we'll be talking soon.